I have been on a journey to be someone. And along the way, I learned the secrets. It's your friends, the people you choose to spend time with. My life, health, and wealth have been changed forever by the people around me. And now it's time for you to meet my friends. This is the Be Someone podcast with Michael Hong. Welcome back to the Be Someone podcast. My name is Michael Hong, and I'm here today with my friend Jen Wei. Say hello, Jen.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So Jen and I are in a mastermind together, and we were talking, and she has a really interesting story of her journey through real estate. And I was like, okay, girl, we're getting you on this podcast. You got to come. You got to come tell the full story with us. So let's start with a little bit about who Jen is.
Well, Jen is really just at the end of the day a simple girl out here trying to share all of my knowledge so that other people can achieve financial freedom and have peace of mind and security in their lives. I am a real estate investor and a sales coach, and also a homesteader. I've got a little farm.
So, oh man, you're just so warm. I can feel the warmth coming through the. For those of you watching this, if you're not watching this on YouTube, please go watch it on YouTube. Not for me, of course. Um, and so we were chatting a little bit before the show, but can you tell us about your first deal that you ever did?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually started my real estate adventure as a licensed realtor, driving people to 27.3 houses before they actually got one. And lucky for me, my phone rang one day and a wholesaler called. He needed some help to actually bid on HUD homes. And so one of the first deals I actually ever did was successfully winning a bid through the HUD home store. We would buy them on there and then just wholesale the properties to cash buyers, standard wholesaling. So even though as a licensed realtor, the first deal I actually ever did was to successfully assign a HUD deal.
Wow. And what year would you say that was?
Oh no, you're gonna make me show my age. Oh goodness. Probably like 2011, 2012.
Was that? I could be wrong, but is that no? That was too late for that. Is that when there was that fund that Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, they put all these houses into, and then they had to resell them to like owner occupants.
So it was right after the real estate market crash, and all of these properties had been taken back, but lenders, they had just enormous amounts of inventory at that time. And so the name of the game for real estate investors was really just staying on it, right? Because eventually the inventory became so overwhelming for them that they were letting them go for like 15, 20% of value because the holding costs were killing them. Their banks, not real estate brokers. Um, so it was right after the crash when, unfortunately, there were just tons of foreclosures and it was super easy to buy real estate investments, but not as easy to sell them.
I see. I think of what I was thinking of happened in the '90s, so I misspoke
Oh,
there a little
maybe.
bit. Yeah. So I've had a few investors tell me about something that happened in the '90s, and I'm forgetting the details now, but the market crashed, and it was like a Freddie Mac or Fannie Mae fund where they put all these houses in this fund, rehabbed them, sold them to first time home buyers for like 15% down or 10% down or something. And I thought that's what you were talking about. But no, you were working right after the crash of 2009, 2010, 2011. Great time to buy, as you found out, because you represented some people that were doing that there. Um, I was not in real estate yet, but when I was getting into real estate, just a couple years later, I was reading the books and watching the podcasts and the interviews of people who started at that time. And boy, was there some great deals back then. I mean, there's still great deals transacting in my market around me right now, um, but a lot of the material that I was trained off of originally when I got started in real estate was formulas and numbers and spreadsheets that were built in that time frame when you first started. So how long did you do that for?
Only a couple of years. once I met a real estate investor, I found the allure of the dark side of real estate, and I went ahead and uh, got really just let my license go. And then when I moved to Colorado, I was very lucky to find a real estate investor who needed somebody to actually be available and be on his phones because he was full time in the military. And took a position with him and worked doing that here in Colorado for solid 8 years.
With a question. So then, what got you from being on the dark side, as you said, with an investor, and then getting you into coaching real estate sales?
The owner of that company decided to make a right hand turn, and unfortunately, didn't excite me as much. I really love talking to property owners and finding creative ways to actually help them. And I'm a big, focus on the solutions, find problems, be able to go out there and actually help people. And the business was taking a turn to a different part of real estate that didn't make me really excited. So I slept on it for a few nights and realized that not too shabby at sales. Maybe it was time for me to share all my secrets and help some other people find their own version of success.
And so, do you remember what year that was when you broke into coaching sales?
It was 2 years ago, actually,
2 years.
almost exactly. Yes, 2 years and 1 month. So it's 2025. That'll be 2023.
Wow. And so your clients, what are your clients? Because it sounds like you said you teach real estate sales, which could be a number of things. It could be, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like it could mean wholesalers closing deals. It can be real estate agents finding clients or helping real estate agents close their sales, their deals. It could be fix and flippers finding their deals. So you kind of guide me. What does real estate sales like mean for like you and your clients?
Well, there was one common phrase in everything that you just said: getting the deals, right? So unfortunately, a lot of people, you can hop on so many different YouTube and podcasts and all of these places to find out how to send mail and, how to find a CRM and how to pick a market and all of the admin stuff around it, right? But not a lot of people are teaching you what to do when your phone rings. What happens when they get the mail and they actually call and tell you they want to sell your house? So I focus on teaching real estate investors, agent, really anybody in real estate, how to have productive and structured conversations and not just read off of a script.
Yeah, that's really important when I do direct to seller marketing and I'm going to talk because I was kind of, I guess you could say, I wholesaled houses to myself. So I was doing my own marketing. And um, at first, I sound robotic too, like it was off of a script, and not many people were engaging with that. And after you do it, though, a number of times, and if you have someone helping you, someone who's experienced, and I had someone who could let me listen to recorded calls because a friend of mine was doing cold calling. So he had a whole bunch of the software records the calls, and you kind of work your way through it and you become more fluid, more natural. But in the beginning, I think we all sound a little robotic, like we're reading off a script. But I want to say the bright side of that. The good side of that is that there are some sellers that can feel that you're new and they're okay with that because they
Yes.
actually trust you more or they're familiar with the process. And so I may have bought a house or two simply because the sellers were retiring landlords and these were their rental properties that they didn't want to rehab another time. And I was young and dumb and didn't know really what I was doing a whole lot. And they're like, I know you need to make money, Mike. You're an investor like me. Like, send me proof of funds and just give me a number that works for you. And if it's not ridiculous, we'll close. And I was just like, what? That's how real estate works. You could just do that. And you can still close deals as a newbie, but over time you kind of level your game up and you sound more natural and you know what you're doing. Um, so
On that note, I actually tell anybody who's brand new in this, don't be afraid to tell people, hey, I'm new, right? Because you are new and you're not going to be able to hide it when you're talking to them necessarily, right? So what's the big deal about just being honest, right? There's nothing wrong with that. And like you said, You got some pity yeses, it sounds like.
I may have got some pity yeses. I never thought of it that way, but hey, some people might say you got lucky, but I would say that people who get lucky put themselves in the position to get lucky, right? Everyone that gets
Absolutely.
everyone that gets lucky is doing the hard work. They're sending marketing, they're taking phone calls, they're getting out there. You don't lay in your bed and scroll on Instagram and get lucky. You got to put yourself in the position to get lucky. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, so that's how I would think about it. So, what are you and your students working on?
Everything from how to build rapport to how to control the conversation without actually being controlling. Um, how to negate objections before they even show up, not just respond to objections. How to position your clothes, how to time your clothes, and just outside of really the conversation, how to be an efficient salesperson. So how to not just hop on the phone and qualify people, but hop on the phone and actually disqualify people, right? Um, we work on how to have natural conversations, how to be humans, just talking to humans. And I would say most importantly, how to be the helpers. So how to find out what people are really dealing with and then actually be the solution for their problems.
Yeah, I like what you said about qualifying offers or qualifying sellers because I learned I have to do that too. Because if you come across a seller who's got a house that they tell you that they want to sell, and I asked them like, what's the condition? When was it last updated? When do you need to close? Oh, the house is fine, perfect condition. When do you need to close? Whenever you want, 60, 90 days. Well, what do you want for the house? I just want, as much as possible. Like, man, you're not qualified for an offer from me. What I need to get you is a real estate agent. And then this is before I was licensed as an agent. I would say, hey, I partner with somebody that can help you get the house listed. So not everybody's qualified for an offer. Some other ways that I would tell our audience that they might want to qualify someone for an offer on is, where are you going to go when you leave the house?
Yes.
When can you be out? When does your new lease start at your next place? If the house is occupied, if it's a landlord selling you a vacant property, that's not an issue. And so I learned at first, I was just like, let's look at the house and talk numbers. Let's look at the house and talk numbers. And later I learned, let's slow down a little bit. Let's see if we're a good fit for each other. Let's see if you're qualified for an offer. Um, Let me ask some questions to see if the house is already under contract with somebody else, So
Yes.
yeah.
I
So
tell I tell my students all the time that our avatar, so you're a real lead for you, is somebody who is ready, willing, and able to actually sell their property. They have to be all three because square pegs don't fit in round holes, right? Stop trying to make them fit. The lead and the property have to actually be a good fit for us. I think a lot of people take their eye off of that, right? Because we see an opportunity, not always an opportunity. Sometimes these are distractions in disguise, right? But we see an opportunity, we get excited, we think we can make some money, and we go for it. And then 15, 20 days later, we're like, what have I gotten myself into? Right? So yes, leads need to be ready, able, and willing. They must meet all three criteria.
yeah, what I was originally taught, and then I teach to others, is I want to know, because I've helped newbies close deals before. I've been a closer for other people, and I want to know the four pillars of a deal: timeline, condition, price, and motivation. Do not send me a lead until you've identified three. I need three of those four things. Three. I don't need all
Absolutely.
four. Condition, timeline, price, motivation. Condition, timeline, price, motivation. Um, and so if you've got those things, three of those four things, I can get on the phone. We can see if this is a deal. If you do not have any of those things, we need to talk about what you've been saying to the sellers, because you're not qualifying them very well.
And I would take one of those a little deeper, actually. So I like to think of it as in when somebody calls you and they want to sell you their property, you're almost like a doctor. They're going to present symptoms, which to me is that motivation. At the end of the day, though, we really have to dig into, are these surface level motivations? Is this a situation where they just want, the most money? We really have to find out why. Why are they selling the property? And that takes a little bit of boldness when you're the salesperson. You have to be willing to ask questions that are going to maybe feel too personal. They might even feel intrusive, right? The fact of the matter is, though, is that if somebody is in a position where they need to sell their house fast for cash or their land fast for cash right now, they are gonna talk to you. They are gonna answer your questions. They need help. So if you can come in with empathy and compassion and really listen to them when they're talking, figure out what is going to be the best way to actually help them, it just blows the roof off the number of deals you're going to be able to get that were inaccessible to you before. Actually listening, talking to them, letting them talk, more importantly, I would say. Um, but it's amazing how just a little bit of compassion and care and just being a human talking to another human really goes a long way when you're having these conversations.
Yeah, and I love that. And I also learned that it's not always about the money. It's usually not about the money. There's something else they need you to solve, a flexible closing date, help finding another place. They need to leave half their stuff there for you to clean up. They have a tax lien. There's usually something other than the money, but they're not going to tell you that. You have to dig in and discover what it is they really need. Because at the end of the day, if they just need the highest possible price for the house and they have no hard date of when they need to get that money, and again, you probably need to refer them to a realtor if you're doing direct to seller marketing. So
Absolutely.
those of you doing direct to seller marketing and wholesaling, partner with a realtor in your local market. And that reminds me, it's time for my shameless plug. If you have a deal in the Houston area and you want me to take a look at it, I give out my phone number on these podcasts. So shoot me a text, 832-301-9672. Don't call me. I get so many spam calls that I probably won't answer, but shoot me a text and let's take a look if it's in the Houston area. Um, and so what's 2025, 2026 looking like for you?
I mean, it's looking great. Uh, 20, so this year I've been doing a boot camp style program. And this year I'm actually looking for 3 to 5 people who would like me to hold their hand when it comes to sales in their business. I'd love to find some private clients who don't understand why KPI is that important and actually help you run it and then reverse engineer to find the holes in your system, making sure you're hiring the right acquisition and disposition people. So this is a year of growth for me. I'm adding programs and trying to just help as many people as I can. Real estate is, if you put in the work and you're consistent, real estate is absolutely a place that you can just make buttloads of money. I mean, that's why so many of us have been attracted to it, right? It's also why so many people come in and then disappear quick, is because you can make so much money in real estate and it's not that hard. But you have to be consistent. You have to have discipline. You can't just take days off because you don't feel great today, right? So 2025 is a year of growth, expanding some new programs. And maybe I'll have a decent website by the end of the year too.
That's awesome. So I want to move to the last segment of the show we do here. So let me ask you, what does freedom give you? What is freedom? What does real estate give you the freedom to do?
Well, I told you at the very beginning of this that I'm a farmer, right? I'm not some big ranch that's selling so many products that I'm actually making money of that. This is all just for us. Um, my husband and I have created a situation where we don't have to go to the grocery store for everything anymore. I don't have to worry about egg prices right now. I'm like a trillionaire if you count just my chicken eggs, right? So it's um it's created an opportunity where I don't I, at the end of the day, I can lay my head down and just go to sleep. That's what it's done. Our house is paid off. I've got goats and a family milk cow, chickens and ducks. Like, we're harvesting our own food. We have a geothermal greenhouse. It's created a situation where I can do things that I love. I can go to every single sporting event that my stepson has, which is every single sport on the books, by the way. The kid does everything. It's ridiculous. um, More importantly, I can afford to pay for all of it for him, right? I don't have to tell him that we can't get these cleats or that he can't run track because of how much it's going to cost us to actually get him enrolled. So it's an incredible amount of freedom, but more so, I would say it's peace. It's it's a settled soul. There's not things keeping me up at night because if you guys are listening to this podcast, there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that at least at some point in your life, you've struggled over money. And yes, money's great, right? And having lots of money is great, but it's what you do with it. Make all that money and then reinvest that back into yourself and your family. And like I said, best thing about my life is that when I go to bed at night, I just fall asleep.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Um, so I like to ask every guest, and I like to remind the audience that many times in life, society, our family, wherever we're born, where we went to school, has put us on a course. We think we're acting in our own free will, but we're actually on a course that someone else set us on to set sail. And while we're going on this course of life, there's something that we encounter that changes our course. For most of us, that's a book. For some of us, it can be other events. But I like to ask everybody, what book changed the course in your life the most that either got you into real estate or changed the course of your business once you were in real estate?
Back when I was living down in Tampa and I was a licensed realtor, one of the lenders that I worked with noticed that I would carry the burden of my life everywhere I went. Um, Unfortunately, I was struggling in my personal relationship, the guy that I was dating, and he knew when I was having bad days. So he recommended a book called The Power of Forgetting. And what it is it's a how to on how to take things that you're dealing with and put them in file folders and close the drawer in your brain. Because you can open the drawer later and pull the folder back out and deal with it when the time is appropriate. I think this empowered me to be able to actually focus on what I'm doing and be in the moment and realize what's going on around me. And I mean, the problem's only gotten worse for people. I think these tiny little computers in our pockets make it even harder to do that, right? But it's not hard for me, actually. I can just put it down and do my work. And, being out here in the country, it's even more valuable because I'm not missing all this beauty and all of the experiences out here. So the power of forgetting taught me how to compartmentalize, deal with things and prioritize things, right? If something can wait, it can wait and we can deal with it later. That was a big changing moment in my life for sure.
Yeah, I'm writing down that one to add to my list. I've never heard of that book before, so thank you for that. And if you like these book recommendations and you want to get all of my book recommendations, um, the click on the link in the description on my Instagram. My Instagram is at Michael B Someone, and you can get all of the books from this reading library back here. And I'm going to add the ones that our guests mentioned as well. So I also like to talk about the Go Giver in every episode. I'm a real big believer in the Go Giver. That was one of the early books that I read in real estate. So I like to remind everybody that when you were born, your parents gave to you long before you were capable of giving back to them. And when you work a job, you typically work for at least 2 weeks, if not more, before you collect a check. And if you stand in front of a fireplace with wood saying, "Give me warmth first, and then I'll give you the wood," it's going to be a very cold winter. So I like to ask every guest, what can you give our audience today?
I would like to offer my time. So I really genuinely love helping other people. I say it all the time. If I could do this for free, I would, but these dang livestock need hay. So I got to pay for that, right? So I would like to offer my time. If you're listening to this podcast and you'd like to talk about what you're doing in sales, maybe there's just a specific type of lead that you're struggling with. Maybe you're trying to figure out like how to actually close the deal, and the first parts of your conversations are easy, but the end is not. I want you to call me or text me if you're more comfortable doing that. But I love talking to people. So you can just call me directly. As long as I don't have my hands in something here on the farm, I'm going to live answer my phone, and I want to offer all of you a free 30-minute one-on-one. Anything in your sales department that you'd like to just pull that information out of my head and get that advice, call me. Let's talk. I'd love to help.
All right. And how do they do that?
I call my cell phone. My phone number is 786-390-9037.
And what can our audience give you in return?
I'd really love to be growing my Facebook community. So my Facebook is Sales the Genway. I've got one of those real punny names. So Sales the Genway. That's me. I'm not gonna promise you guys that I'm great at putting up a bunch of new videos. I'm trying to be better at that. That's definitely one of my biggest weaknesses. But there's lots of resources on there already. Anything that I have to offer or new programs, I always post it there. I think that you can find tons of value there, and if you have the time to give me a like, I sure would love one.
And are you on Instagram?
Um, yes and no. I do have a page set up. I'm not gonna listen. This is like the hardest part of being an entrepreneur for me, is actually staying up on the social media and doing all of those things. So, I say it all the time: get comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's the uncomfortable part for me, and I'm really trying to power through it. So I do have one, but most of the resources that are truly valuable are going to be on my Facebook page for now.
Awesome. So my last question is always, how can people find you? But you answered that very well. How can people find you? You can call her, text her, and follow her Facebook. And if you have any questions for me, if you have deals in the Houston area that you'd like me to take a look at, if you need a referral for anything here, please shoot me a text. Do not call me. I get so many spam calls, I won't answer your phone. But text me at 832-301-9672. This has been a really great. I'm so jealous of you, Jen, because I want chickens and I want bees and I want fruit trees. Those are three things that I really want, and I can't have them because I live in the suburbs and we have tiny little lots. And so I'm jealous of you because one of the things me and my wife have on our vision board is we're gonna have a bunch of land, or like buy a ranch, cut it in half, sell half the ranch, keep the other half, something like that. So I want to do some land investing here in the future at some point and get myself there. So I'm so jealous of the situation you got set up on the farm. You really give me something to aspire to.
Hey, if you want any advice, you want to know all the mistakes that I made so you don't have to make them, let's talk offline for sure. We actually do also have beehives, and I've got a family milk cow who could potentially be my best friend. When I'm milking her, I talk about all my problems. So she's she's maybe my therapist. That could be it. She never gives me any advice though. That's like the one bad part about it. But no, it's an incredible life, and this is exactly why I love coaching so much. Is because if I can help any of you get to your version of success, mine's been a homestead. Michael's is too, apparently. If I can help anybody at all get closer to that dream or that item on their vision board, that's food for my soul at the end of the day. So Thank you so much for having me and giving me an opportunity to actually put my knowledge out there to your community. I appreciate you.
Yep. This was Michael Hong for the Be Someone podcast. Until next time.